Good morning and welcome to A Moment with Hope with Upward Transitions. We're very excited today to have as a special guest Shelly Sheaffer. She is the Director of Programs and Quality Assurance with City Rescue Mission. Say hi to everyone.
Hi, thank you. So excited to be here.
We're so happy that you joined us today, and we're just going to briefly have a 10 to 15 minute conversation about addressing the issue of homelessness in our community and how we collaborate together as agencies, how Upward Transitions and City Rescue Mission collaborate. So first of all, just to get started, could you share with us a little bit about City Rescue Mission and how it serves its clients, like what the process is?
Sure. Well, City Rescue Mission has been around for eons. We started 61 years ago as a soup kitchen. Actually, businessmen who were downtown got together and saw there was a need and set up a soup kitchen. And at this point in time, we have about 360 beds. We serve men, single women, families with children. We're an emergency shelter that helps people when they're in a housing crisis with not just a bed, but also meals and case management services. Our purpose is to help people end their homelessness. So we are very focused on making sure the end result for the individuals that we serve is housing, whatever that looks like for the people we serve.
That's great. And so how many years have you been here, City Rescue?
61. Last year was our 60th anniversary, and it was, and then COVID happened. So, but we celebrate every day the opportunity to serve people and to work with wonderful agencies like Upward Transitions.
Yes. Well, and speaking of the COVID-19, how did that impact the way you were serving your clients?
And just like everybody else, it was a lot. It did some good things as well as some not so good things. The initial scary part of serving people in a shelter with dormitory style sleeping arrangements and making sure to keep people safe. And so we did, consult with not just the health department, but also on a national level with the U.S. Interagency Council on Homelessness to provide best practices within our organization. We also collaborated with the shelters and providers within Oklahoma City and created space to have an alternative care shelter for homeless so that individuals that were COVID positive had a place to stay. We're not on the streets. We also, received referrals from hospitals when a person who was receiving treatment for COVID, had no place to go. And we served about 500 people through that particular service. Wow. So we learned a lot.
Mm-hmm. So in serving your clients, what are some of the biggest needs that you see in the demographic of the people that you serve?
Bottom line is, the biggest need is always affordable housing. There is not enough affordable housing and not enough affordable housing for people with barriers to housing. One eviction does not mean a person can't pay their rent on a regular basis in the future. So we negotiate and work with landlords to help break down those barriers. And we have a very focused effort to do that. There's some landlords that call us and say they have an apartment ready, which is really awesome because those relationships are really, really important. And then providing some short-term supportive services to help keep people in housing. That's really, really important. I always say there's a honeymoon period. About 90 days out, it starts getting harder to pay the bills. So we try to maintain that contact, and we have individuals that call us and we'll try to resource different providers to help meet those needs and help prevent people from recycling back into homelessness.
Yes, some of the statistics that I've read here of late is that even a two-person working household, if they are on minimum wage type jobs, that they end up spending more than 30% of their income.
Yeah,
just
we're seeing
rent,
absolutely,
which is part of the issue of not having the proper number of household housing units available. And I think right now we're in a shortage of at least 5,000 affordable housing units.
Yep. You know, when you look at the housing wage, which by the Out of Reach study done by the Low Income Housing Coalition, it takes about $16 an hour for basic housing. We're not talking all of the things that go, healthcare and things like that a person might need. And when rents are going up, everything's going up right now.
That's right.
Inflation, we're seeing it all of us, staff and individuals that we serve alike. So I know people that are paying 80% of their income toward their housing, and they're just one crisis away from coming back to the shelter. And again, the solution to that is making sure we partner with good agencies that can offer other services. Not one agency can do it all.
That's right.
So we've been very fortunate to have those good relationships.
Yes, and we do collaborate with one another and with other agencies all together. It's like we, instead of having to have a multiple list of strengths, we focus on the strengths that we have as an agency and offer our assistance and collaborate with one another. So
absolutely.
In looking at the cycle of poverty, how prevalent do you see that as a contributor to the needs of the clients that you serve?
It's a huge it makes huge contributions. And we serve families with children. Generational poverty, I mean, if parents can't give their kids the resources and don't have the resources themselves, it just makes it doubly hard. In fact, we on a regular basis serve people who were kids at our shelter years ago. So we are seeing poverty, we're seeing repeat. Yeah, absolutely. And even, as the homeless population gets older, we're seeing individuals that came in the shelter in their 20s and 30s, and now they're 60. So, they didn't plan for retirement. They had no resources to plan for retirement. So it's a vicious cycle. Yes. But it certainly is part of the problem of homelessness.
Right. And why do you think Oklahoma's poverty rate continues to be 5% above the national average of poverty rate, which I think the national average is 10.5%, and we're like 15, I think, 0.2%.
Yeah, I just looked at that yesterday, so it's interesting that you ask. It's such a complicated issue. I don't know that I have any one answer for that. I think it's a lot of what I see anyway at City Rescue Mission is people come in and they're already homeless. So, it would make sense to increase prevention efforts and whatever that looks like. Homelessness is so complicated that not any one thing is going to solve the issue.
Right.
But I think it's going to take a multifaceted approach with prevention and moving people out of the shelter quickly and helping people solve those crises, those housing crises, and keeping to support the person when they first get into housing and stabilize. I think all of those things will go toward, putting a dent and ultimately breaking that cycle.
Right. So what's an example of the way that you see how City Rescue Mission and Upward Transitions work together to support the clients you serve?
Well, Upward Transitions has a program to help individuals get birth certificates and IDs. And the vast majority of people that come to the mission don't have IDs. I mean, they had an eviction or they were on the streets and things were stolen. They haven't got their stuff back. And that ID gives them so much opportunity between working. You have to have an ID to work. You need an ID. They take a copy of your ID for an apartment, to lease an apartment. And we work together with Upward Transitions to kind of solve some problems. Sometimes people are here because they came here for a job out of state. All of their stuff is back in Alaska or wherever their first residence was, and now they're stuck. They can't move forward. So we partner with Upward Transitions also in referrals. We get a lot of calls from people that are not homeless yet, but they're anticipating that they're going to have an eviction and they're just checking out what the services are. Those people can be, we can help prevent that homeless, that person or family that is becoming homeless through Upward Transitions prevention funding that and the staff there that are working to help people stay in housing. So Upward Transitions also refers individuals who are homeless to us. I know we've even at the airport service, we've gotten some referrals. Somebody just needed a couple nights stay and they're moving on and they have no resources for a hotel. So we've partnered for a lot of different things at all different levels. So very grateful for this partnership.
We and we don't have a shelter or housing, so
correct.
We exchange in the sense of referring families to you if they need shelter. So
absolutely.
And I know our airport volunteers, we're very grateful for the work that they do there, helping stranded travelers or finding people who may have ended up stuck somewhere and don't know how to get from point A to point B, and with our emergency travel. But what are your views on the positive ways that collaboration of social services works in our community? How do you see, or maybe explain how the collaboration of social services in our community works?
Well, I see it as we are much stronger when we work together. I mean, we can serve more people. We can serve people in more ways. Nobody works on an island in Oklahoma City. We all have to be a part of the solution rather than, not stepping out. And there are, I know, as far as agency capacity, it's very difficult to be all to everybody. We serve a pretty diverse population. I mean, we have very little eligibility requirements, and that's important because those people need served, but we can't give all the individual services that a person might need. The IDs, the mental health services, the healthcare, all of those things. It takes a village. It really does.
And I am so proud that our agencies do work together, and we really do support each other and create this safety net, for the people that are vulnerable in our community. And I'm grateful for that. Would you happen to have a client story in closing today? Would you have a client story you'd like to share?
Well, I do. It's one from a ways back. This is about 2015, I believe. We had a family, mom, dad, 5 kids, who came into the shelter. Dad had some legal issues. He was arrested and taken out of his home. So they weren't, and the property was seized. So they didn't have IDs. They didn't have, they couldn't get food stamps. They couldn't get anything. And they stayed at the mission, went through our recovery program. I should have mentioned, we do have a recovery program, which is gospel-based and holistic in approach. They needed IDs to get their health care. They needed the kids needed help to get IDs in order to go to school. So they didn't have any documentation. And we partnered with Upward Transitions. And then when we moved them to housing. They went through some crisis where their vehicle broke down, and Upward Transitions helped with preventing them from going back into homelessness by helping with some financial assistance, prevention funding. And I'm happy to report that family who was 100%, almost 100% dependent upon every type of public benefit is now successfully on their own, self-sufficient. Dad's working, they have health care, and they give back, and they're even helping with elderly parents. So that was so, it was like just, it just went around the bend, and they give us a holler every once in a while, and it was really rewarding to work together with Upward Transitions and the whole host of agencies that help with that particular family. And it's from 2015, but there's been a lot of families that we partnered on over the time, but that one particular family, because those kids are, they're now going to college. So it was just a unique experience, and one that will always stick in my head.
Yeah, and getting to see that years later, the intervention worked and put them back into society as productive citizens. And that's our goal. That's why we do what we do, is to help citizens get their needs met so that they can become productive citizens again in the community. So that's a great story. I love hearing that. And,
it was a great
the fact that they stay in touch, that's what, and we have some clients that do that with us as well. And they're so grateful. I mean, when these families are in need and they have a financial crisis, we're very grateful. It's and so we're happy to do it, and we love collaborating with you. And so we're going to close now. Our time's up, but just wanted to say thank you so much, Shelly, for sharing the information about City Rescue Mission and about how you serve the homeless. And we look forward to touching base with you again in the future.
Absolutely.
We'll just stay in touch. And thanks again. I know our community and the clients all appreciate your work. Thanks
thank you, Carla. Thank you for this opportunity. We love you guys. Thanks so much.
All right. We'll see everyone later
Bye-bye.
next Tuesday. Bye-bye.